हेलो, वेरी गुड इवनिंग। ऑनलाइन स्टूडेंट्स, एम आई ऑडिबल? आज हम लोग पॉलिटिकल एंथ्रोपोलॉजी रैप अप करते हैं एंड देन विल स्टार्ट विद यूनिट 2, दैट्स द लास्ट यूनिट फॉर सोशल कल्चरल एंथ्रोपोलॉजी एंड फिर देन विल मूव टू पेपर 2, कास्ट एंड ऑल दैट स्टफ विल डू। फिजिकल एंथ्रोपोलॉजी विल डू इट इन द एज द लास्ट सेक्शन, कास्ट, विलेज एंड देन ट्राइब्स एंड देन फिजिकल एंथ्रोपोलॉजी। ओके, आज की क्लास थोड़ी सी छोटी रहेगी बिकॉज़ आई हैव अ मीटिंग एक्चुअली, तो आई हैव टू लीव बाय 7:15। ओके। देखो कैसा लगा मेरा मजाक? नहीं, नहीं, सच है। ओके, सो लेट्स स्टार्ट। Social control. Okay, so what is social control? That is how a society or the social organization regulate the behavior of an individual. So as we know that man is a social animal and living in the society, we have to follow or abide by certain norms. And in such case, why these norms are necessary? Because if we do not abide by these norms, we do not follow these rules, what will happen? Society will end up in chaos. So society definitely has to make sure that there are certain mechanisms that people follow the norms, and this is called as social control. Okay, and the reason for this is for its own survival. Society for its own survival will impose some kind of social control, and ये हमारे लिए भी जरूरी है because we are social animal and we need to live in the society. For that, society का survival necessary है. So there are different scholars who have definitely suggested that how society will impose social control, or there are different mechanisms also. So for example, Merton, he gives an idea by what is called as strain theory. Okay, so here strain theory says that there is a socially accepted goals, that every society has certain goals which is acceptable to all, and these acceptable goals के लिए everybody will be working so that these goals are achieved by the society collectively as a whole. And if anybody deviates, it will create what he calls as strain in the society. If anybody tries to deviate, so if that strain is there, so that strain, suppose strain, it can be understood as if that there is a hard or tough object. Suppose this is a pen and you try to bend it, something like this. Beyond a certain point, there will be stress or strain that will develop in this object, and that will prevent you to change its shape. ठीक है, वो अपनी shape को, और एक point of time के बाद if the strain crosses a certain limit, it will break down. Okay, so there is a limit to which the society can bear that strain, or this object can bear, and beyond which it will break down. In the same way, society also has a limit beyond which the society will collapse. So this socially acceptable goals by the society will make sure that the individuals work together collectively, and if anybody tries to deviate, society will show some kind of strain. Strain क्या होगा कि reciprocity will actually break down, say, or maybe language में strain दिखने लग जाएगा. Okay, that people start abusing each other, something like this will happen, or then exchanges will also get disrupted, or conflicts might start to happen, deaths might happen, or even starvation might start to happen. So such kind of strains will happen. Okay, this is what the idea of Merton is. That is the strain theory. Whenever anybody tries to deviate, there will be a strain in the society. A similar idea was given by Durkheim. You know this. Social pact. It's a way of acting, thinking, believing that is external to us and has an element of coercion attached. So that makes us behave in a particular manner. Why this is to happen? It's because we need that the society overall as an entity survives. अगर ऐसा नहीं होगा, तो then there will be a problem. And similar structure functions, they give this idea. Or we have read about Redcliffe Brown. You know me and disknow me. So whenever everybody is functioning, everybody is doing the job as per assigned to him, as per his or her status. In that case, it will be okay. Society is in a state of you know me or well functioning. But if it is not happening like that, somebody is deviating from the role, there will be a disnomy in the society. There will be a disequilibrium in the society. So ultimately, the biggest threat is on the society itself, that it won't be able to survive. That's it. Okay. So for that, every individual must follow social control mechanism is imposed on every individual so that the society overall survives. There is a solidarity in the society. There is a unity in the society, and society functions properly. Okay. So let's write this. What's the social control? Social control is or are mechanisms in the form of pressures through which society maintains social order and cohesion. The goal is to maintain conformity to establish norms and rules. Any society in order to survive must have harmony. Through social control, the society directs the behavior of its member towards socially desired ends. Next paragraph. According to Merton or R.K. Merton, socially acceptable goals put pressure. According to Merton, socially acceptable goals put pressure on people to conform. In case of deviance, a strain is introduced which might impact all the elements of the society. Next point. According to Parsons, conformity is not produced only by external agencies coercing the individual, only by external agencies coercing the individuals, but also through individuals internalizing norms and values, through socialization. Okay, that's right. Needs of social control or need for social control. First, to develop social solidarity. Second, to maintain continuity. Third, to regulate or control individuals' behavior. Fourth, to check cultural maladjustments. And last one, to maintain the sanctity of human life. Okay. Now we'll see the means of social control specifically with respect to simple societies, because in simple societies, since there is not a formal law, in such case what actually happens is social control is the major mechanisms. Okay, through social control only we will be able to control or regulate the behavior and to maintain the existence of the society. Okay, but we'll also see the formal mechanisms here. So here, if we see the means of social control, it can be divided into two. First one is internal means, and second is external means. Okay, internal means that is inside our means our conscious. Okay, and that internal, if you do something, you develop a feeling of shame, you develop a feeling of guilt, or you develop a feeling of fear. So these are internal means of social control. Okay, so you are going to hurt somebody, you basically slap someone. Okay, he might be at a fault, but you feel that guilt after coming home. Okay, I did something wrong. He might be at fault for whatever reason, but you still feel the guilt. I should not have hit him. Okay, or at least you introspect whatever I have done, whether it was right or wrong. Okay, that means next time you will be cautious before raising your hand on anybody. Right. So that's a kind of internal aspect: shame, fear, guilt, any kind of emotions that might be acting as a introspection on your behaviors. Okay, you question yourself. Second is external. So this will be externally imposed by the society. Okay, through some means or the other, there are externally imposed regulations on the behavior of the individual. So here in external, it can be of two types: informal, formal. Informal means and formal means. So in informal, there is no specific agency to impose it. So it was created by some randomly it was created, and it is executed also randomly by not by one particular society, or so not by one particular institution in the society, but by society as a whole. That is informal. Okay, but then there is a formal. That means it has been created by deliberate discussion and will be executed by some specific institutions there. Okay, so we'll see this, right. Informal means of social control. Informal means it involves conformity to norms and values of society, as well as adoption of a belief system, through process of socialization. It requires no agency. It grows and maintains by itself. It is usually executed by or enforced by family members and peer groups. Okay, so we'll see different types of informal means of social control. The first one is the belief system. Okay, what is the belief system? Here, belief means just acceptance that a particular fact or a particular information is true, or it's just how you view the outer world. That's your belief. Okay, but you do not require that evidence. Okay, if you believe in witchcraft, or if you believe in the karma, okay, ideology of karma. So these are the belief system. You believe something, and your actions will be. So in a society that believes in witchcraft, in such a case, anybody who will be deviating will be labeled as a witch. So everybody will be cautious not to behave in a certain manner, because he or she knows that if I do so and so thing, I might be labeled as a witch. So that belief system is kind of prohibiting or kind of regulating my behavior. I don't want to be labeled as a witch or a sorcerer or something like this. I will never behave like that, because I know the repercussions of this act. Right. So that's right, belief. Belief is a conviction that a particular information is true. The belief system largely influences an individual's behavior. For example, belief in witchcraft will make an individual not to engage into any activity, not to engage into any activity for which ये वाला which मतलब यहाँ पे for which he might be labeled or he or she might be labeled as a witch, for which he might be labeled as a witch. अब यहाँ पे ये वाला होता है. Okay, then actually बड़ी प्रॉब्लम आती है साइंस और साइंस में sometimes statement के मतलब ही बदल जाते हैं. Okay, so this is the first one. Next one, like बहुत सारे और भी हैं belief system, for example ancestor worship is there, so you will be behaving like that and that will also regulate your behavior. Second one is public opinion. So being in a society, being a social animal, public opinion is very important. लोग क्या कहेंगे ये सबसे बड़ा डर है हमारा. Okay, and this is something seriously means be in the simple society, be it in the modern society also, our society also, the biggest fear what we have to judge our act is लोग क्या कहेंगे. Okay, and this acts as a biggest social control mechanism, and simple societies में it is more important because the contact with the outside societies or alternatives are very less. तो ठीक है आपकी सोसाइटी में आपसे कोई बात नहीं कर रही, living in Delhi, who cares? वैसे भी किसी के पास साइन था भी कहाँ किसी बात करने के लिए. Okay, but in simple society this is not the case. A lot of other sanctions might come up with this. So for example, if you are in say tier 2, tier 3 cities or maybe in village and you go for intercaste marriage, so बहुत सारे sanctions will come automatically. First, second thing means sanctions is not like suppose if you are a boy and you go for intercaste marriage and you have younger sisters, so your parents will first come and say who will marry your sisters then, because that will be the society will impose such kind of sanctions. So these are the public opinions. But in the modern societies also these kind of public opinions do matter. Okay, जिसके लिए इतनी बड़ी-बड़ी media houses हैं. Okay, and they every political party has to maintain an IT cell because everything is nothing but a matter of public opinion. पूरा का पूरा democracy is working on public opinion. International politics also works on public opinion, and the best example is currently France में protest start हो गया है against the French government that you should withdraw from NATO. Okay, Germany protest has started that you should basically remove the sanctions that you have put on Russia, restore the bill, जो भी है हमारा कम करो और ये सब करो. Britain में the protest has started against the new prime minister. Okay, Liz Truss, and it's all on the opinion that they have generated. Okay, and it's believed that this opinion has been harbored by some international means. I cannot say it with conclusive, मतलब पूरे surety के साथ, but it's believed that it is being triggered by Russia only. Okay, so this public opinion is very much important in the simple societies as well as the modern complex societies as well. And this mechanism has been used by Income Tax Department of USA, which is called as strategic embarrassment, or what Harold Garfinkel calls as the degradation ceremonies. What does this mean? What they did, they just printed the name of tax delinquents. जिन्होंने tax violation किया है, उनके घर के आसपास जो भी न्यूज़पेपर आता था, वहाँ पे उनका नाम बड़ा-बड़ा प्रिंट करके ad में डाल दिया. And due to which these people rushed to the income tax office and just sorted out whatever the differences were, so that the next day they should not get their names published in the newspaper. Now this is the force of public opinion. और ये योगी जी ने भी किया था. जिन लोगों ने प्रोटेस्ट में कुछ भी तोड़फोड़ की है, पूरा होर्डिंग बना के लगा दिए थे लखनऊ में कि ये नाम है और ये एड्रेस है, जहाँ मिले पकड़ लो. नहीं ऐसा नहीं लिखा था. But this is the public opinion. Okay, that will make sure that next time, even if you participate in the protest, you will make sure that you do not destroy anything or you do not cause any kind of damage to the public property. Okay, so just like public opinion, in simple societies as well as modern, people wish to be accepted. People wish to be accepted from everywhere. The society use social pressure to make individuals conform to its norms. Conform to its norms. Society uses gossip. Society uses gossip, rumor, sarcasm, or ostracism. Ostracism means exclusion. कड़ी पार कर देते हैं. Okay, that is exclusion. For example, US Income Tax Department printed the name of tax delinquents. Printed the name of tax delinquents in local newspaper. Tax delinquents in local newspaper. According to Harold Garfinkel, there are several degradation ceremonies. Several degradation ceremonies in simple as well as modern societies. In simple as well as modern societies, to publicly humiliate a deviant. Publicly humiliate a deviant. ठीक है, जैसे कि आप लोगों ने देखा होगा गधे पे बिठा के चप्पल की माला पहना के और काला कर देते हैं मुंह वगैरह. That is the extreme form, and sometimes it's used as per मतलब caste humiliation ज़्यादा होता है वहाँ पे. But such kind of humiliations are there, or maybe they will be labeling something, means some taunt मारेंगे या कुछ नाम दे देंगे उसको. So this kind of humiliation will make sure that nobody else would be behaving in that manner. Okay, next one is corporate lineages. Corporate lineages. Now in this case, lineage we know that tracing the descent from a person who is known to have existed. Corporate lineage का मतलब हो जाता है that corporate आप लोग term हम लोग use करते हैं corporate for the business houses. But corporate means that there is a team that is working. So when I say that I'm working in say Google or Facebook, also I'm a part of Meta or I'm a part of Google team. So my individual identity hardly matters there. So you are somebody who belongs to Microsoft, Google or Facebook or something like that, and irrespective of whatever post or hierarchy that you work there, that hierarchy of post is relevant in the premise of the company as per your job is concerned. But for the outsiders, you all are working in say Facebook. okay, or a particular college also. So any kind of identity that we, so वहाँ पे externally आपकी hierarchy से कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता. You are a part of that lineage only. Externally you are seen as one entity. That is corporate lineage means. So here due to corporate means in simple societies, since lineage is very important, here a person if he angers somebody, say if he angers his father, so his father is occupying multiple roles. He is not just his father. He might be his head priest. He might be his hunting partner, and he might be his teacher also. So due to which, if he angers his father in one respect, he might be compromising other roles also that might be necessary for that particular person to survive. तो ऐसे नहीं कि फादर से नाराज होकर बाकी जगह पे सब नॉर्मल चल रहा है, because the father is also playing multiple roles. This is the idea. This is called as diffuse roles. Okay, and जिसकी वजह से due to this close group or person being a member of that close group, अच्छा बात है सब इतने लेट क्यों हो रहे हैं? Okay, okay. हाँ, इसलिए क्लास लास्ट की है ना कि यहाँ से कोई लेट ना पहुंचे कहीं पे. हाँ, नहीं मैं तो अपने बारे में बता रहा था. So corporate lineages. Here, if you anger somebody, so you will be finding that multiple roles and multiple places you might be suffering from. ठीक है, तो it's not just the family. Priest वाली position में भी you might be suffering. Then education also might be suffering, and in several others. So वो आदमी पीछे छोड़ेगा ही नहीं. So in such a case, you basically make sure that you do not deviate in any respect, not just one domain. But हमारे केस में अलग है. We do not be a part of corporate structures as if like that. Suppose if that might happen. Suppose if you're working in a family economy where your father is your boss, तो problem है. क्या office and घर का जो distinction है that is not there. But if अभी क्या है कि your boss is some other person, your professional life is completely different from your personal life. Okay, so whatever frustration that you have, you might irritate your boss and still live peacefully at house, or you might be at a troublesome relationship with your household members, but still be peaceful at your workplace. Okay, because they are not connected. But in simple societies, these all are connected to each other. There is no distinction, and that's why one place you deviate, all other places simultaneously gets affected. Religion wali life, education wali life, economic life, everything gets affected, and that will make sure that you do not deviate at any instance. That is what is called as corporate lineage. That's right. Corporate lineages, yeah. वो तो बस मैंने आपको corporate का structure मतलब corporate बताने के लिए corporate में क्या होता है. That's right. Kinship groups, corporate lineages, kinship groups whose member live, play, and pray together. Whose members live, play, and pray together. They get identity from the group membership. In corporate lineages, there are instances of diffused roles. There are instances of diffused roles. People play different roles in different domains. Different roles in different domains. For instance, a man's uncle might be his teacher, priest, hunting partner, and local chief as well. Hunting partner and local chief as well. By violating social norms, many domains might get affected. Many domains might get affected. ठीक है. हाँ बोलिए. कैसे? क्या? कहाँ से फॉर्मल हो गया ये? नहीं तो कौन सी एक एजेंसी है जो इसको एग्जीक्यूट कर रही है? कौन सी एजेंसी है? मींस इफ इज देयर एनी स्पेशल इंस्टीट्यूशन दैट इज क्रिएटेड टू एग्जीक्यूट दिस नॉर्म? एक इंस्टीट्यूशन. हाँ नाम है आप बताओ. नहीं ना, सिंपल इनफॉर्मल है फिर तो. ठीक है. नेक्स्ट वन इज सोशल सजेशंस. सो सोशल सजेशंस मींस सम काइंड ऑफ एग्जांपल्स कि शर्मा जी का बेटा टाइप ऐसा वाला. ओके, सो कि उनके बेटे ने वैसा किया, अपने माँ बाप का बेटा तुम मत करना, और उनके बेटे ने ऐसा किया तुम वैसे कुछ सीखो उससे. ओके, समथिंग वी ऑल हैव दैट शर्मा जी का बेटा हु ऑलवेज यूज्ड टू गेट 99.99% मार्क्स, पता नहीं एक नंबर से कैसे कट जाते थे, एंड वी हैड टू सफर अपने घर पे. सो दीस आर सम सोशल सजेशंस और मे बी द एग्जांपल ऑफ ग्रेट मेन. ओके, whose life we would be told to imitate. ओके, कि उन्होंने ऐसा किया, he struggled so hard, or maybe he had nothing, but देखो अभी कितना राइज कर गया वो. Okay, all such kind of social suggestions are very common in simple societies. Okay, and it's also very common in modern societies as well. But these are not very formalized examples. Something we know from the local, जो भी हमारे neighbors हैं, how they have done. They might not have achieved extraordinarily, but कुछ तो किया होगा. और आपके आसपास ऐसे बहुत सारे होंगे. Whose examples definitely you might be. For example, मेरे यहाँ पे एक चाट बेचने वाले थे. उनके बेटे ने IIT निकाल लिया. And बस फिर ऐसा ही था कि अगर IIT नहीं निकली, तो तुम चाट बेचने वाले से बेकार हो. तो तुमको चाट बेचनी चाहिए और ये करना चाहिए, all that stuff. These kind of analogies would be given. So these are social suggestions. That's right. Social suggestions are indirect means to exert social control. It is usually in the form of examples of great men, literature, maybe जैसे epics वगैरह हैं, वहाँ पे उनकी कुछ और लिटरेचर्स होंगे. Next, advertisements. Okay, next one is ideologies. So ideologies means some specific point of view or how you view or analyze the social issue. So for example, ideology is say communism ideology or Marxist ideology. So for every kind of social issues, they will be looking that how the capitalist is responsible for it. So they will always look into that particular social issue, trying to find out how inequality, specifically the material inequality, is responsible for any social phenomenon that has happened. Then there is a right-wing ideology. okay, or communal ideology is there, then they will always be looking that particular phenomena with respect to the religion wala aspect. Okay, so अभी कोई phenomena होता है तो the left wing will be trying to bring in the caste issues, while right wing will be trying to bring in the religious issues. कि नाम किसका है उसमें, और नाम के बेसिस पे डिसाइड करेंगे कि इस इशू को कितना प्रमोट करना है. If there is caste issue तो left wing उसको पकड़ के जाएगा. For example, this rape case that has happened in Hathras, so it was promoted by left wing. ठीक है, but the similar rape case that happened in Saharanpur, the अभी recently जो हुआ है सहारनपुर या लखीमपुर में, लखीमपुर के, yeah, sorry, so that in that also 2 Dalit girls were raped and murdered, but there the left wing did not raise the voice. The reason was this is the domain of right wing. क्या वो religion का मैटर आ गया वहाँ पे कास्ट इतना मैटर नहीं था क्योंकि the accused belong to a particular community, so this right wing took that issue. So this is how you view a particular issue, social issue, and these ideologies they basically will regulate our social behavior. अब आपकी सोसाइटी में कौन सी ideology चलती है, that will actually decide what will you do, okay, how will you act. So that ideologies there are simple societies ideologies also. For example, totemism, it's a kind of ideology in the simple societies wherein they trace their origin from a particular animal or a plant. They might not kill it, they might worship it, that animal might be seen as a sacred animal. Okay, so these how you view a particular social issue that will also regulate your behavior, how you behave in the society. The right ideologies, ideologies different from, देखो belief में ऐसा भी हो सकता है कि it might be related to supernatural aspects. Majority of time when I'm talking about simply belief, so I'm talking about the supernatural beliefs. Ideologies is how you relate or explain the social issues, what is happening means वहाँ पे supernatural aspects की बात नहीं करते हैं. बिल्कुल आइडियोलॉजी में वहाँ पे गोत्र का, खाप का मतलब ही गोत्र होता है. Okay, खाप means a gotra, and खाप when we'll be reading caste system, so I'll tell you कि खाप was originated mainly to establish गोत्र एक्सोगेमी. इसका पर्पस यही था जब खाप को बनाया गया. Later on what happened, ये मैरिज वाले अफेयर्स को रेगुलेट कर रहे थे. Gradually they started stretching or spreading their reach to basically all the other issues related to the civil life of an individual. तो अब किसी दो से वहाँ पे अभी जैसे आप लोगों ने ये वीडियोस वगैरह भी देखा होगा, that is the virginity complex वाला that is there in patriarchal societies wherein the white bed sheet with the blood stain has to be produced or has to be shown to the in-laws after the first night. And if there is no blood stain after the first intercourse between husband and wife, then husband has complete right to divorce the wife without returning the dowry, and that will be done publicly also. So such kind of issues were also kind of presided by the khaps. और फिर धीरे-धीरे ये बाकी सारे एरियाज में भी they started to spread their reach, means land related issues है और whatever it is, and that is why remember ये गोत्र exogamy is related to caste, कि caste की identity रहनी चाहिए. तो इंटरकास्ट मैरिज को भी बाद में रेगुलेट करने लगे, जिसकी वजह से कास्ट के ऑनर के लिए if anybody kinds of violates the honor, तो यही लोग वो थे जो ऑनर किलिंग का ऑर्डर देते हैं कि मारो. ओके, तो खाप का काम ही बेसिकली मैरिज को रेगुलेट करना था जब ये शुरुआत हुई थी. नाउ दिस राइट आइडियोलॉजीज आर पॉइंट्स ऑफ व्यू regarding social issues. These ideologies shape our interpretations of various social events around us, and hence regulate our behavior. Okay. Then next one is folkways. So these are some kind of customary norms that is to be followed by the people living in a society. Customary norms है. अब जैसे कि हमारे उधर गांव में क्या होता है कि if you go to somebody's house, he is supposed to offer you a glass of water and something sweet to eat as a first मतलब sign of welcome. तो देना ही होगा. अगर उसके घर पे कुछ मीठा नहीं है तो he'll bring you just simple sugar only, or maybe आपने गुड़ सुना है तो jaggery. Okay, so they will offer you simple jaggery or simple sugar only. And if you go to somebody's house and he does not offer you that good or या पानी भी ना पूछे, so you feel disrespected. Or if he intentionally does not ask you, that means he does not consider you worthy enough to be offered a glass of water also. महाराष्ट्र में there is a case whenever a guest comes to your house and if you cook chicken for him, that means आप उसको बहुत disrespectful मान रहे हो, उसकी कोई हैसियत नहीं है. And अगर mutton is something that is cooked मतलब for a guest who is considered to be worthy enough, अगर आपने चिकन बना लिया उसके लिए तो आप मतलब ऐसा ही है. Okay, so this is something, these kind of things do happen. These are customary norms that every society do follows. अभी जैसे कि महाराष्ट्र में also I happen to attend the wedding of my friend. In that case the entire एक event होगा, the entire village will be invited to the wedding. उस wedding में कुछ नहीं होता, खाना खाने के लिए आते हैं सब. And the husband and wife have to touch the feet of everyone who is coming in the village. सबके पैर छूने वहाँ पे. हाँ? वो तो next level हो गया फिर तो. So a friend of mine तो वहाँ पे and he was like कि यार एक तो रात भर के जगे हुए हैं and then सुबह सबके पैर छूने हैं and अरे शादी रात नहीं होती भाई. चलो let's get back. Folkways are norms, are customary norms to which individuals conform. It is necessary to do so as one person might feel disrespected. One person or one individual might feel disrespected in case of violation. It's a part of routine or casual interactions. Seen usually in dress, food habits, method of greeting. ठीक है, एक ऐसा इंसिडेंट है that is Saddam Hussein had a meeting with US ambassador था कोई, the name of that person is Bill Richardson. So when he sat in front of Saddam Hussein, so he sat with crossed legs. Crossed legs means like this. So the sole of his shoes were visible to Saddam Hussein, and Saddam Hussein immediately cancelled the meeting, immediately left out that meeting. And these kind of instances do happen. Abhi recently Kuwait या Qatar वाले case में so I have shared that newspaper the clip also. I'll share that. So in such kind of cases they believe that this is a disrespectful gesture towards them. So इनकी society में cross leg बैठे किसी के सामने and showing your shoes sole to that person is a sign of disrespect. तो अगर आपने cross leg बैठे हो तो that means you are disrespecting that person. हमारी society में this उंगली दिखा के बात कर रहा भाई, ठीक है, उंगली नीचे कर. So that's a customary norm, maybe related to methods of greeting or maybe dress or food habits. Then there are certain folkways whose violation might amount to taboo, and these folkways are more seriously followed, and these are called as mores. Okay, these are folkways, but here their violations might involve some kind of punishment as well, or might involve a intense reaction from the society. For example, Sikh में बाल काट लेना. Okay, that's some kind of a serious offense kind of thing. No specific agency is there to punish you, but that might involve a greater reaction or intense reaction from the society. Or maybe if a Sikh individual is found smoking by somebody, तो उस केस में there will be a lot of other repercussions that individual might have to face. Okay, हो सकता है कि that other individual कोई भी उसको देख रहा है, he gets kind of offended and he might slap that individual, बोल के कि how you're disrespecting the entire religion, entire community, or such kind of issues might happen. Okay, so this is something a folkway, but of a serious kind, whose violation might involve a lot of serious or intense repercussions. Okay, just like this, mores. Mores are those folkways which, when violated, result in severe punishments and sanctions. Severe punishments and sanctions. The violations of mores are equated to taboos. They structure the difference between right and wrong. Okay. Next one. Yeah, ringa. Yes, that's mores mein aayega. Yeah. Actually, any customary practice that is usually related to the identity of that group, that violation will not be tolerated with pleasant attitude. That will definitely be intensely countered. Next is art and literature. So art and literature, usually art in the form of music and paintings, they also depict certain social values that has to be followed by the individual. ठीक है, अब और वो social values can be either way, maybe something that not to be done, or something that is expected out of an individual to be done. Okay, just like this, art and literature usually conveys the social values of a group. It prohibits or persuade an individual to act in a particular manner. Next one is simple सा है, humor and satire. So that is usually to kind of diffuse a tension situation. ठीक है कि बहुत ज़्यादा issue आ गया है, tension हो गई है, so immediately somebody will take or talk on a very lighter note कि tension खत्म हो जाए. The society should not escalate that issue to the level of violence. Remember, we have also talked about the joking relationship. Okay, that is Redcliffe Brown structure functionalist. So that is in those situations or those relations wherein there is a heavy tension involved. In such a case, if that tension not addressed, might lead to some kind of conflict in that relationship. So here we bring the element of jokes or humor or satire. Just like this, it's usually to relieve a tense situation. You can write about joking relation, Redcliffe Brown. Joking relations, Redcliffe Brown. Okay, so these are informal means. Next one, the formal means. The first one is education. Okay, so there will be certain educational institutions that will be teaching you certain values. Okay, in the simple societies also there are educational institutions which are called as youth dormitories. Okay, these youth dormitories are the ones, जैसे कि we have studied the case of rite of passage wherein the male initiation rites will be there. So after a certain particular age, every male has to non-voluntarily pass through that particular rite of passage wherein he will be secluded from the entire society. He'll go in the jungle, he'll be trained for those values, how as a male he has to behave, what is the attitude that he should carry towards women, towards elders and towards other members of the society. Okay, what kind of activities he's supposed to do. So these are forms of education that will be taught to a person at in a particular institution at a particular age itself. That is education. So these are youth dormitories which will be training. For example, हमारे केस में schools हैं, वहाँ पे youth dormitories हैं. Then is law. Unisex association, yes. Law वाले केस में there will be certain specific laws, certain specific activities. कुछ decisions कुछ particular तरीके से लिए जाएंगे. For example, there will be a chief, there might be a headman, there might be a big man. So that is related to law. Okay, and that will also execute or that will also exert a greater social control on the individual. एक तो है जो family और ये सब informally execute करें, enforce करें. But then there is a legal mechanism also in the simple societies also. So for if you deviate or if you kind of violate certain norms or so if you do some kind of activities, there will be a judicial mechanism. There might be an informal court. So कुछ ऐसे mechanisms होंगे. There will be certain laws that will kind of punish the deviants or maybe might provide some mechanism to deal with the deviants per se. And the third one is coercion. So by force. This is the worst form of social control. कि कुछ और तरीके से आप कंट्रोल नहीं कर पा रहे हो तो by force. So usually this might have happened with some of you. बचपन में when you decide not to obey your parents at any cost, then the last one resort coercion. प्यार से नहीं मानोगे तो. And then there is the case of like कई सारे agencies are there in our case in state like societies they use coercion. Lucky. Okay. So these are the formal means of social control: law, education, and coercion. Okay. Now the next topic is law and justice in primitive societies. So here we'll be seeing the features or characteristics of law in simple societies or primitive societies. Moreover, how they resolve their conflicts. Okay, कि वहाँ पे कोई issue होगा. So how they are going to preside on it, how they will be resolving that conflict, and how they make sure that the judgment is to be given. So just write the definition of law by Malinowski. According to Malinowski, law is obligation of one person. Law is obligation of one person and rightful claim of another. Sanctioned not by mere psychological motive. Sanctioned not by mere psychological motive, but by a definite social machinery. It is a mechanism whose violation might bring punishment from designated authority. Okay. So a simple definition है, if you violate the law, you get the punishment that has been created by the law itself. Okay. So there are certain features of primitive law or nature of primitive law. Nothing much to explain. आप बस एक पॉइंट करके लिखते जाओ. Under law, क्यों उसमें मतलब ऐसा क्या है कि जो इसमें नहीं आएगा? Both are different only with respect to one is local, the other is national level पे है. But overall देखा जाएगा तो ultimately दोनों का aim एक ही है. सोसाइटी में स्टेबिलिटी लाना, सोसाइटी में एक पर्टिकुलर सॉर्ट ऑफ बिहेवियर को प्रमोट करना. तो पर्पस तो लॉ का एक ही है. अब वो किस एग्जीक्यूट कैसे हो रहा है, कितनी बड़ी कम्युनिटी को केटर कर रहा है, वो अलग हो सकता है. और कई सारे कस्टमरी लॉज ही तो हैं जो मास लेवल पे जब एक्सेप्ट हो जाते हैं तो कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन हो जाते हैं. और कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन की जब मास लेवल पे एक्सेप्टेंस होगी तो वो कस्टमरी लॉज में कन्वर्ट हो जाएगा. हमारे कई सारे कस्टमरी लॉज, फॉर एग्जांपल जो डीपीएससी में बहुत चीजें लिखी हुई हैं, फॉर एग्जांपल काउ को किल करना प्रोहिबिट है, हमारे रिलेटिव प्रिंसिपल्स में है. कहां से आया? कस्टमरी लॉज में से. ओके, राइट टू लाइफ जो है कस्टमरी लॉज है. बहुत सारे जो कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन लॉज हैं दे हैव राइजन अप फ्रॉम कस्टमरीज ओनली. सो दे कैन नॉट बी कंप्लीटली डिसोसिएटेड. ये एकदम अलग है. बस ओनली बात इतनी सी है, एक लोकल है, एक पर्टिकुलर कम्युनिटी के साथ है, और एक बेसिकली नेशनल पैन इंडिया मल्टीपल कम्युनिटीज को कवर करता है. तो हम सबकी कस्टमरी लॉज तो हैं जो बेसिकली आप एक सोसाइटी में फॉलो करोगे. बट बियॉन्ड दैट एवरीबॉडी लिविंग इन इंडिया इज बाउंड बाय द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन लॉज एज वेल. ओके, दिस राइट. फर्स्ट किनशिप नेचर में, फर्स्ट इट्स बेस्ड ऑन किनशिप बॉन्ड्स. रिमेंबर सोसाइटीज एंड सिविटास. Okay, societies wherein the behavior will be regulated by kinship, and civitas mein it is territorial ties. So it's based on kinship bonds. Second, it's backed by public opinions. And morality. So simple societies mein there is too much of democracy, or everything is democratic. There is egalitarian society, nobody is holding the power. Centralization of power we have seen is minimum in simple societies, and that's why anything that has to be done or enforced has to be supported by the public. So it has to be backed by public opinion or morality. Third, it does not distinguish between public and private wrongs. What does this mean? Public or private wrongs? That is, the private wrongs can also means it might not be seen by the people, but this private wrong can also bring calamity for the entire group. कि आपने अकेले में कुछ गलती कर दी, but the entire group has to face the repercussions of it, because here the punishing authority is not a judge or a court, but a supernatural power. ऊपर वाले ने देखा है आपने गलती की है, आप तो 100% उसके सर्वेलेंस में हो. So if you have violated something, even if it is done publicly, the entire community will have to face the wrath of it, and that's why it does not distinguish between public and private wrongs. Next one, belief in supernatural powers and punishment. Supernatural powers and punishment. So if somebody for example जैसे कि कुछ societies में somebody is facing some fever वगैरह हो गया, or maybe somebody has some kind of disease, so people believe that this might have been because he or she might have committed some kind of wrong to somebody. Okay, so they believe that the supernatural power is punishing that particular individual for something wrong. Okay, and जिसके लिए there are mechanisms. For example, Christianity में there is a mechanism for confessions. कि आप जाके चर्च में confess कर दो that you have committed this thing, आपने गलत किया है, and ask for the forgiveness. Why? Because if you don't, you believe or you feel that कि हो सकता है किसी और को ना पता चले, but God को पता चल जाएगा. So it's better before he punishes you for that, you go and confess and ask for the forgiveness. So there is a belief in supernatural power and punishment. Next, breach of public opinion amounts to sin. Breach of public opinion amounts to sin. मतलब पाप और पुण्य का भी आइडिया है वहां पे सिंपल सोसाइटीज में. ओके, नेक्स्ट वन, इंटेंशन हैज नो इंपॉर्टेंस. इंटेंशन हैज नो इंपॉर्टेंस. So you did something intentionally or unintentionally, it hardly matters. गलत है, सही है. Means for example our courts they will deliberate upon it. कि suppose if you killed somebody and there is an idea कि it was something that you did in defense maybe, so you might be exonerated or you might be convicted based on if you're to which side you are able to put the credible evidences. तो वहां पे intention does matter कि आपने ये काम क्यों किया, उसको hurt करने के लिए किया or to protect yourself. Okay, or killing somebody maybe you killing somebody with a gun and a soldier killing somebody on the border, these two are two different things. Okay, but वहां पे if killing is wrong, तो wrong irrespective of in what circumstances you have performed that action. Okay, so intention has no importance here. Next, it has limited civil laws and more criminal laws. It has limited civil laws and more criminal laws. So that means कि civil और criminal में ज़्यादा difference नहीं, हर कुछ criminal act माना जाएगा, because anything that is considered disrupting the society will be taken like a criminal offense only. And इसको ज़्यादा बेहतर explain करेंगे Durkheim के point of view से. Durkheim, he says religion is society worshipping itself. But along with the one statement, he says that if you want to understand origin of society or origin of religion, it would be easier to understand it in simple societies. These complex phenomena cannot be understood in the complex societies, but rather just study the simple societies. Here, why he is emphasizing on simple societies? Because there the society or these kind of social bonds are at a very infant stage. And in such a case, if there is some kind of deviance, it might affect the survival of the entire society. कोई भी type का deviance होगा, any single thing. If anybody say आपके यहाँ पे हमने किसी ने tax की चोरी कर ली, so we will be like given a notice, and that is a civil offense. You cannot be arrested for it. Okay, you will have to you will be given a show cause notice. You will be filing a reply. Your lawyer will talk, and then you will come up with a particular numbers वहाँ पे कि that this is the amount of difference that you are supposed to pay in so and so time, and for delaying the payment of it, you are imposed so and so penalty. That's it. खत्म हो गया tax वाला issue. But imagine the case of reciprocity, for example, in a particular society wherein they are supposed to share the meat, and in that case, if they don't share, or if one individual does not share, it will be seen as a criminal offense because that might inspire other individuals also to copy. जिसकी वजह से the entire society might collapse. So there it's a means in simple societies every kind of deviance will be seen more as a criminal offense. Okay, और society के लिए गलत कर रहे हो तो आप मतलब God के लिए गलत कर रहे हो. Okay, God and society are same thing. And if you are doing wrong to the God, it's an offense. It's a criminal offense. So limited civil and more criminal laws. Okay, next point. Stateless societies use social sanctions. Stateless societies use social sanctions. According to Brown, a sanction is a reaction. A sanction is a reaction of the society. A sanction is a reaction of the society to a particular or to a mode of behavior. To a mode of behavior, which is thereby approved or disapproved. Which is thereby approved or disapproved. That means by giving some kind of sanctions, you are either approving a particular behavior or rejecting a particular behavior. So according to Brown, these sanctions are of two types: positive sanctions and negative sanctions. So positive sanctions as if like some clapping, some rewards, okay, by which you are basically approving a particular type of behavior. कि आपने किया बढ़िया किया. Okay, so such kind of rewards will be given to you or some clappings, not monetarily, but some appreciation from the society. Next is negative sanction. So here you are disapproving a particular behavior, and that will be in the form of abuse, mockery, or even some kind of punishment. Abuse as if you will be मतलब उसको गरिया रहे हो पूरा. And second is mockery, you make fun of that person. Okay, and third one, if the action is very intense or grossly violating the ethos of the society, then there will be some form of punishment. Usually the punishment is like reciprocal relationships are broken down. You were supposed to say reciprocal relationship, for example, exchange of women करना था, that will be broken down. Okay, marital relationship will be broken down, or maybe some kind of trade exchange or collaring exchange, the partners might broke down that relation, and that's a big kind of sanction. Okay, hereby what they are doing is they are disapproving certain behavior on the part of their partners. Okay, so collaring में that exchange will not happen between the partners, and that's a very big sanction. आप समझ लो कि that's a kind of the most embarrassing thing an individual can face in the Tobrian society, wherein the collaring partner refuses to exchange the valuables with that person. मतलब आप नहीं करेंगे, or he might find a new partner in the same island. Okay, so that is the negative. So here negative is further divided into two types. First is diffused, and second is organized. So in case of diffused, it's a kind of sudden response by a part of the society. Some society, not the entire society, but sudden response by a part of society. Okay, for example, if you engage into say, or somebody say loses his job, or maybe somebody has lost his wealth in gambling. Okay, in such a case, the relatives, or maybe the one who was supposed to marry his or her daughter in this family, will immediately stop that relationship. Okay, will immediately make sure that his or her daughter is not going to this family. बाकी society वालों को क्या फर्क पड़ता है? They will be talking to that person as usual. If he is going to them, it means hardly matters. Rest of the society does not matter. But by gambling, if you have lost your wealth, okay, you might lose some reputation, but the entire society will behave normally. But the only one with whom you have to exchange females that might reciprocate or that might break that reciprocal relationship. So this is the case of diffused sanctions. Next is the case of organized sanction, wherein there is a reaction by entire society. So suppose somebody is convicted for rape. In that case, the entire society will break all such kind of any kind of relationship with that family or with that individual per se. Right? वहाँ पे कोई ऐसा नहीं होगा कि नहीं चलो यार क्या हुआ तुमने किसी और का किया है तो क्या फर्क पड़ता है. Entire society will have an organized response for it. Right? So these are two types of sanction. One is the positive wherein you are approving a behavior. Second is the negative where you are disapproving a behavior. It can be of two types. One by a part of society, the other by an entire society. Okay. Now, क्या? मतलब कि मतलब कुछ काम ऐसा करोगे कि कुछ लोग ताली बजाएंगे बाकी लोगों को बुरा लग रहा होगा. है? मतलब अच्छे काम तो ऑलमोस्ट मतलब सिंपल सोसाइटी में तो खास करके जहाँ पे इतना कंपटीशन नहीं है, होमोजेनिटी है, अच्छे काम तो हर कोई अप्रिशिएट करेगा. मतलब मॉडर्न सोसाइटी में तो थोड़ा ऐसा हो सकता है कि आप टॉप करोगे, आईएएस में रैंक 1 लाओगे, तो योर फैमिली माइट बी वेरी हैप्पी, बट नेबर्स अंदर जल रहे होंगे भयंकर तरीके से. ठीक है कि कैसे आ गया, ये तो पास ही नहीं होता ढंग से. नेक्स्ट, रेजोल्यूशन ऑफ कॉन्फ्लिक्ट्स. इट्स अ पार्ट ऑफ प्रिमिटिव लॉ इटसेल्फ. how the conflicts are resolved in simple societies. So there are two types of mechanisms. The first one is peaceful resolution, कि शांति से सब निपटा लेंगे, and second is violent resolution of conflicts. So in case of peaceful resolution, as the name suggests, no form of coercion or physical force will be utilized. Only peacefully there are some mechanisms that through which they will be resolving the conflict. So first one is the case of song duels. I have already discussed this song duels like a lap battle. Okay, wherein there will be one competitor or one person who is kind of angry or is kind of irritated by somebody's behavior or offended by somebody's behavior might challenge him for a song duel, and rest of the people will actually observe. Okay, and based on the cheer that the participant gets, the winner is decided. It usually is seen. It was studied by Nud Rasmussen in Inuits. Okay, so here he found that that whenever a particular person tries to woo somebody's wife, in that case he might challenge him कि भाई आओ sound duel करते हैं. And in that case everybody has a like a happy night कि भैया ये दोनों एक दूसरे को गाली देंगे by battles, and based on who gets more cheers, then that particular person will win, and the battle is kind of closes off और बहुत peacefully resolved होता है. Imagine such a big issue and how simply they are resolving it. Okay, हमारे epic में इसके लिए war हो गया, महाभारत हो गया. Okay, so this is how the song duels actually work. Just like this. Among Inuits, incidences of crime, dispute among men, especially wife stealing, is resolved through song duels. It's a song contest in which the contestant with loudest applause wins. Contestant with loudest applause wins. Okay, next is the case intermediaries. Remember leopard skin chief we have studied in Newer when we were talking about segmental lineage system. So this leopard skin chief is an intermediary that might resolve the conflict between two groups. अब वो किसी भी टाइप का हो सकता है. Okay, so you can write here leopard skin chief among Newers. Then the third case is moots. What are moots? Moots are informal courts. Okay, informal courts which will be present in simple societies. Usually these are not permanently in existence, but if there is a complainant, okay, जिसको कोई शिकायत है किसी से, so he might call the society members at his place along with the person against whom he has the complaint. Society members will come, sit in his house, have a glass of wine or beer or whatever they want, and they will discuss that issue and will finally come up to a particular solution, a particular advices. And this is not something that is happening in simple societies also only. It happens in the present societies as well. Okay, for example, I don't know about other communities, but this happens in other communities also. In our community, has करके, if there is a conflict that is going on between the couples, okay, husband wife में कुछ है, so usually, and if it has raised up to a status wherein it might go to divorce situation, in that case, the family members of the husband and wife, they will come to the Gurudwara, and along with the other adult members of the society, they will sit together. They will raise their issues, and the intention is to make sure that this issue does not go to the court. Everything is settled peacefully outside the court among the community members itself. कि court में जाके एक दूसरे को इतना blame करना and just to extend that issue, paying the lawyers and other, so वो सब नहीं होना चाहिए. So it's better. So here the family members will come up with a kind of their demands, you can say, that I want this much money or I want so and so to happen. If the issues are not that intense, so it usually gets resolved in the or among the community members itself. Okay, these are what is called as moots. Okay, और ये caste groups में भी कई बार होता है. That is, informal courts will be set up. The adult members will be sitting. The complainant and the person against whom there is a complaint will be sitting. They will come up with a solution and they will resolve the issue. They'll go away. Okay, that's right. And this kind of moots, I just forgot to mention, found among capels. Remember this society, Poro, the secret organization, right? Moots are informal courts or ad hoc, adjudicating bodies. Ad hoc adjudicating bodies. Moot system. It's found among capels. It is held in the house of the complainants. All parties concerned to the issue sits in the house. There is no control of judge or lawyer. And not a severe punishment as well. Okay. Next one in peaceful resolution is oath and ordeals. Oath आप लोगों को पता है कि कसम खिलाना. Now this oath might be like हम लोग तो झूठी कसम खा लेते हैं, means we have some tricks ये करके और कैसे भी करके we have that tricks कि चलो. But in simple societies these are very important phenomena. Means you cannot expect an individual to take a false oath because their belief is very high in the supernatural powers. And that's why आप देखो जैसे हमारे टाइम पे एक oath की या कसम की ना हायरार्की होती थी. तो हायरार्की में सबसे नीचे आता था भगवान कसम. Okay, wherein लाइक वो तो कोई भी खा ले, झूठ भी खा ले, तो भगवान तो इमॉर्टल है, उसका तो कुछ होने वाला नहीं है। और सबसे हाई राइट में सबसे ऊपर कौन सी होती है? माँ कसम। अगर अगर माँ कसम खाली तो सच्ची बोला होगा, है ना, कि एकदम ट्रुथ की पराकाष्ठा, दैट इज द लिमिट इज मम्मी कसम मैंने नहीं किया यार, एंड तब तो आप मान लोगे कि हाँ सही बोला भाई। ओके, इन द सेम वे दीस पीपल आल्सो हैव a kind of belief system in the supernatural power, and they are supposed to take a oath, and if in the oath they express that they have committed or not committed a crime, that will be considered to be true। और ये ओथ का हमारे कोर्ट सिस्टम में आज भी है, गीता पे हाथ रख के कसम खाता हूँ, एंड दैट इज ट्रू। ओके, और योर होली बुक विल बी आपके पास रखी जाएगी, आपसे बोला जाएगा क्या कसम खाई, क्या सच बोलेंगे। Okay, so this oath system does work, does have a very prominent place in the simple societies, but simple societies have also evolved in cases where they believe that oath might not be able to tell, और उस केस में कुछ गलत बता रहा होगा, झूठ बोल रहा होगा, so they have a mechanism, next level of mechanism, that is called as ordeals। So individual might be put or subjected to some kind of particular test। So there is a movie, आप लोगों ने मूवी देखी होगी, that everything in the rain, राहुल बोस की मूवी है, नंदिता दास, राहुल बोस। उस मूवी में राहुल बोस is accused of a murder, okay, and he belongs to a very simple society। Here he is surrounded by the priest of his community, in which he has to lick a hot pan, hot black pan, ठीक है, एकदम गरम गरम करके उसको जीभ से 3 बार he has to lick it, and in that case if there are rashes on the tongue or the tongue becomes black, in that case he will be considered to be accused or convicted। पर आप सोच रहे हो कि यार इतने गरम pan को if he licks then definitely तो होगा, but here certain scholars, anthropologists, they have worked there and found that here the one who is administering the test is kind of deciding the time or the conditions of the test। So he will be demonstrating, जैसे कि उस मूवी में the priest who was administering the test actually gave a demo also, देखो मैंने किया, मेरे को कुछ नहीं हुआ, so that means I am not guilty, that's why nothing happened to me। ऐसे ही certain African societies, they have a hot boiling pot of water, in which what they do is they will be putting the hand of the accused in the water and removing it, and they will immediately put it in the cold water and then bandage it। They will open the bandage after 1 day and see if there are any spots, okay, और rashes आ गए हैं कि नहीं। So if there are rashes, that means he is accused, he is convicted। नहीं हुए तो वो बच गया। अब how they do this, how they make sure कि so they, while giving the demo, they just put their hand for an instance, बस एक बार ऐसे टच करके निकाल दिया अपना हाथ और तुरंत ठंडे पानी में डाल दिया, nothing will happen। if जैसे कि हम लोग we play with the candle flame, remember, in the same way they will also be doing something like that, and while they are doing or giving a demo of this test, they actually look at the psychological behavior of the accused, कि वो कितना डरा हुआ है, okay, how is he behaving, how much he is sweating, whatever, based on which they already have made up their mind कि ये guilty है या नहीं है, and if they have made up their mind कि ये guilty है, so they will increase the time of the test, that means they will increase the time for which the hand is dipped into the boiled water, or if they have made up their mind कि वो guilty नहीं है, in that case they will just reduce the time of the test। okay, so it's more like a psychological test which is based on the wisdom of the one who is administering it, that is what is called as ordeal। The individual will be put to or subjected to certain tests। one form of ordeal was sati, ठीक है, द प्योरिटी टेस्ट, कि अगर आप प्योर हो तो आप जल्दी चिता से चलोगे और कुछ नहीं होगा, फायर विल नॉट बी एबल टू डिस्ट्रॉय यू, और इफ देयर इज सम काइंड ऑफ इम्प्योरिटी द फायर विल बर्न यू। इट वाज एन ऑर्डियल, मतलब ओथ के बियॉन्ड, दैट इज मेंशन्ड इन आवर एपिक्स। ओके, इन द सेम वे देयर इज अ कम्युनिटी, दैट इज मलेर कम्युनिटी ऑफ अनडिवाइडेड बिहार। So Malays, they also have an ordeal। So first they have oath that particular person will be taking an oath in the name of their god, respective gods, and they will take the oath that they have not done some act। But if the priest is not convinced or the community is not convinced, so they have a sacred axe, okay, and that sacred axe will be kind of heated red hot, और उस red hot axe को has to be licked 3 times or 2 times maybe। So and if there is some rashes on the tongue, then that particular person will be convicted। Again, this test time is limited or decided, or how much the axe will be heated or what will be decided by the one who is administering the test, and he already has made up his mind कि उसको उसने किया है या नहीं किया है। Okay, just like this, oath is a formal declaration। Oath is a formal declaration to some supernatural force, that what an individual is saying is truth। What an individual is saying is truth। false oath can lead to supernatural retribution, ordeals determines guilt by submitting the accused to dangerous tests, several African societies put the hands of accused to pot of boiling water, they lift it out and then put his hand in pot of cold water, the hand is bandaged and examined next day। if it is blistered, the accused is deemed to be guilty। if it is blistered, the accused is deemed to be guilty, otherwise innocent। next paragraph, just write the heading mechanism। those in charge prepare the accused psychologically to take the proceedings seriously. They explain how the ordeal works. By putting their hand for short time and demonstrating that nothing has happened. But at the same time, they look at some non-verbal behaviors. Like perspiration or sweating, tension or dilation of pupil. That is aankhon ka सिकुड़ना. Based on which they alter features such as length of the test. Okay, so यहाँ पे इंडिया में भी oath and ordeals are there. You can write the case of Malays. Ordeals of Malays. Licking of sacred acts. ठीक है. Then last mechanism for peaceful resolution is ritual apology. So they will apologize to the one whom they might have offended, or if it is something wrong that anybody has done, this way the entire society might suffer. So they will go for a ritual apology. That is, they will organize a ritual. They accept their wrongdoings and they will ask for the forgiveness from the God. So there is a similar kind of thing as if like a confession. Confession usually is done secretly, but ritual apologies will be done publicly in front of the members, wherein the individual who is accused or found guilty of some kind of act, he will apologize in front of the public to the God, to the community members, to the family members, whomsoever he might have offended. Okay, so among Fijians, this phenomenon is called as, or there is a ceremony of sorrow. You can write this. Among Fijians, ritual apology. Among Fijians, there is a ceremony of sorrow. It means surrender, in which they ask for forgiveness. From the community members. Okay, so these are peaceful resolution mechanism. Then there are mechanism for violent resolutions for conflict. So let's see the violent resolutions. First one is individual violence. So individual violence, as if like, remember the case of Yanomamis fist fights between the Yanomamis. So the work of the head is to control the violence to such an extent that one should not murder the other person. बस इतना करना है. ठीक है, मार पिटाई जितनी मर्जी करनी कर लो, but किसी को मारना नहीं है, not beat somebody to an extent that he dies. So that is the individual violence, wherein two individuals of the same group might engage into some kind of fist fight, some kind of violent activities in order to resolve the conflict. Okay. Next is the case of feuding. It's a peaceful mechanism, so कोई violence नहीं है. Feuding. So feuding का मतलब होता है group against one. That is, there will be a group of people. Somebody has trespassed into their territory. So the group of people, maybe lynching can be a case of feuding. Okay, group of people killing one individual. Okay, so that's called as feuding. And this feuding usually is like somebody who has stolen someone's property. Maybe somebody has stolen the wife, or somebody has captured a woman from other group. And now that individual was found alone. So the entire group members or the brothers might unite together and kill that individual. That is feuding. Then the third is raiding. Remember the case of Masais? Okay, it's a very short-term violent act for a particular goal or purpose. That is raiding. Short-term use of force, which is planned and organized to realize an objective. And then there is warfare. So it's a large-scale confrontation between two communities. Warfare. So these are the four mechanisms of violent resolutions. First is individual level violence, then feuding, then raiding, and then finally warfare. Okay. Now, primitive versus modern law. एक पार्ट बस इसका बताना है. The rest we have already discussed in the features of primitive law. Modern law will be just opposite of it. Okay. So here in primitive versus modern law, Durkheim talks about the primitive societies and the modern societies. Here he says that in simple societies or the primitive societies there is homogeneity. Right? We have already discussed this. There is complete homogeneity. Everybody is doing the same kind of task. Everybody is a hunter or a gatherer. Okay. And that's why the traditional societies are held together by what is called as mechanical solidarity. But the mechanical solidarity is between the people who are homogeneous. एक जैसे हैं, इस वजह से एक साथ रहते हैं. Culturally and occupationally, everything is alike in them, and this is the mechanical solidarity. See, they are homogeneous, and that's why they are living together. In such a society, if anybody commits a crime, in such a case, what will happen? the other person might be imitating it or might try to imitate it क्योंकि homogeneity है. So in such societies, the laws according to Durkheim will always be repressive in nature. मतलब किसी ने कुछ गलत किया तो उसको मार दो in order to minimize the probability of anybody imitating it. Because homogeneity, if everybody imitates it, the entire society will collapse. That is, the repressive laws will be present in primitive societies. कोई गलत है, कोई खराब हो गया तो उसको काट के फेंक दो. Nobody create an example so that nobody dares to imitate the behavior of that person. That is the idea of repressive law. Now in the modern society, the solidarity, there is heterogeneity, means everybody is having different kind of skill sets. So somebody is a student, somebody is a teacher, somebody is an automobile expert, somebody is a software engineer, somebody is a farmer. So this heterogeneity has led to interdependence. Since they are doing different kind of work, there is an interdependence. I earn money, but I don't cultivate the food. I'll buy the food. Okay, it has led to what is called as organic solidarity. Organic means the solidarity that we have in our body, right? So there are different organs. They are doing different kind of functions, and each one is dependent on the other organ. ठीक है, सभी काम करेंगे तभी only the whole body will function. So here farmer is doing its own job, software engineer is doing his own job, automobile engineer is doing his own job. सब कोई पैसा earn कर रहे हैं, they are just exchanging whatever they are doing means, and they are working in solidarity. There is an interdependence here. So what is called as organic solidarity. Here in this case, if there is some kind of crime, the society will not repress, वो मार नहीं सकती, because that will make the case of loss of skill. ठीक है, कोई एक बंदा जेल में जाके उसको मार दो या कुछ कर दो, तो that means you are removing a skilled person who might be contributing to the society in some special way. In that case, the laws will be reformative, because the modern society cannot afford to lose a skill. That means कोई अगर accused है, somebody is convicted, he will be put in the jail and he will be reformed so that he can be reintroduced into the society. यहाँ पे सबके पास same skills है. If one dies out, also nobody loses anything. But there is a risk if anybody starts imitating the behavior. So इस वजह से it has to be repressive. कि जो भी गलत करे, set an example out of him that nobody imitates. But in that case, no. Reformative is the mechanism, because you might lose a very unique skill that might be present in that individual if you kill that person. Okay, and जिसकी वजह से society disturb हो सकती है. So that's why the laws will always be reformative in nature, and that explains the case of why anthropologically, or why according to Durkheim, the capital punishment is not a feature of modern law. Why? Because it's against the idea of organic solidarity. It might lead to the loss of a skill that particular person possesses. Okay, Durkheim के हिसाब से. Okay, just write this. Emily Durkheim focused on division of labor to explain the types of law in simple or modern societies. In traditional societies, there is mechanical solidarity, as everyone was more or less same. Collective consciousness subsumes individual consciousness. Social norms are strong, and social norms are strong, and social behaviors is well regulated. Social behavior is well regulated. The law will be repressive in nature. To restore the collective consciousness, or to preserve the unity. Next, in modern society, there is highly complex division of labor. It has created dependencies. Between individuals. Durkheim calls it as organic solidarity. It has led to emergence of individual consciousness. The laws will be restitutive or reformative. That is, the aim is not to punish, but to restore normal activity of a complex society. ठीक है, this is the idea of Durkheim. बाकी primitive law, modern law differences, that's there in your handout, table बना हुआ है. We have already seen the features of primitive law. Just opposite of it is the modern law. You can write it from there. क्या हुआ क्या हो गया यार, बता दो. The last topic is, अरे इतनी जल्दी भी थोड़ी ना बोला था. State and stateless society. Okay, so this is actually अभी तक whenever we will be talking about, or wherever you will see the idea of stateless societies, usually you are seeing a definition or a property that is morally negative in nature. Negative in the sense what it does not have. Uske basis pe you will be means such features of state which will not be present in society will be called as stateless. Okay, so there are several scholars who have talked about different features of stateless society. For example, Evans Pritchard, Mayor Forts, and Brown. They have distinguished the stateless societies from state by saying that these societies are the ones who have uncentralized or decentralized authority first, and they do not have any specialized or formalized political roles or political personnels. Okay, so specialized political roles means not a distinguished individual will be there who is holding a specific political position. So everybody is more or less same. There might be somebody who might be the representative of that group, but he is not holding a distinct political position. Okay, which gives him special authority or something like that. And that is what is called as a stateless society. Just like according to Evans Pritchard, the societies which have no distinction between rank, societies which have no distinction between rank, status, or wealth. Moreover, which lacks centralized authority, administrative machinery, and judicial institutions are called as stateless societies. In stateless societies, the community members select leaders. Who possess dominant characters. Like strong personalities, well-built physical features, and charismatic personalities. Okay. Stateless societies is the one that has no specialized political roles, and no institutionalized political structure. Political structures. They have political actions. Which is universal. Okay. So now we'll see the characteristics of stateless societies. There are few characteristics which are kind of common features of stateless societies. The first one is they are multi-polities. What does this mean, multi-polities? Here it means that the stateless societies are divided into several smaller political groups. Okay, so smaller independent political groups. Now there might be a mechanism to integrate them, there might not be a mechanism to integrate them. But there are the society decentralization का मतलब ये है कि that this power is completely diffused in smaller groups. So this means the existence of multi-polities, small independent groups. Then the next is ritual super integration. Ritual super integration means there is no political means or formal means to integrate them. Okay, territory wise or constitutionally, they might come together and face the external enemy. No, the major mechanism to integrate them is only their religion or ritual mechanisms that can be used to integrate the smaller multi-polities that are present in the stateless societies. So remember the case of Poros, Capel's way, that so they will be using some ritual aspects or some shared symbols, and that will be used to integrate multiple groups that might be residing at very distant regions. And I have told you that these Poros were the ones who once integrated the entire country against the colonial invasions. Okay, so this ritual super integration is the mechanism for integrating the multiple polities. The next case is complementary opposition. Remember the case of segmentary lineage. So one is a group or किस group को वो belong करता है, that depends upon who is at the opposite end. Okay, relatively that is what is called as complementary opposition. Just write one line. Principle of contradiction is always present in the political structure. A group is a group only in relation to other group. So how do you perceive a group? That depends upon the other group. आप किस group के perspective से देख रहे हो. That is complementary opposition. And then आप यहाँ पे चाहोगे तो segmentary lineage को explain कर सकते हो. And then the case of distributive legitimacy. Since the group is there are multiple polities, small independent autonomous groups. So in the same way, the legitimacy is also distributed among these groups, and multiple political actions can be taken by multiple groups, and they are equally legitimate. That means centralization of authority is least here. Just like this, legitimate political action belongs to multiple points. And levels without any overriding monopoly or levels, without any overriding monopoly or delegation from above. Okay, so these are the four major features of stateless societies, multi-polities, ritual super integration, complementary opposition and distributive legitimacy. And just opposite आपको state में मिलेगा. ठीक है. State we have already studied जहाँ पे centralized authority will be there, institutionalized bureaucracy will be there, unequal distribution of wealth will be there, due to which there will be hierarchy, there will be stratification. Okay, so this will be the feature of state. अब how this definition लिख सकते हो state की? The state according to Ivan Svichard is the society which have centralized authority, administrative machinery, and judicial institutions. They observe sharp differences in distribution of wealth, status, and privileges. ठीक है. So that marks the end of unit 4. एक question है. This was asked in I think 2019 या 20 में ये question पूछा गया था. I just want you to use your existing knowledge to answer this question. ठीक है. हम लोगों ने पढ़ा है इसके बारे में. I just want you guys to use it since it was not a direct question that was asked in 2019-20. I'll discuss it. So just write this. ठीक है. प्लीज एक बार इसको अपने इनसे अटेम्प्ट करना. Try to answer it from whatever we have read till date. Conspicuous consumption we have. I think एक बार मैंने इससे बात की है कि conspicuous का मतलब क्या होता है? That is to show off one's wealth or buying something which is very costly relative to the utility of that object. Okay, कि जिस आपको घड़ी देखनी, टाइम देखने के लिए घड़ी चाहिए, but you're buying a watch of Rolex, maybe 25, 30 lakhs, 50 lakhs, something like that, or even crores. So the cost that you're paying for that object is far more than its utility. अब वो क्यों करते हैं? And we have read about it. So just use it. The knowledge, conspicuous consumption, construct of power, distributive justice. These are the 3 keywords with respect to which you have to answer the question. Okay, please attempt it. That's it for today. Thank you so much.